Hey everyone, this is Steve. Welcome to SFO. It's been a minute or a million. I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone and also kind of give my 2 cents on what happened this week in the music media regarding Pitchfork. If you don't know what happened, here's what happened. We will rewind a little bit. Pitchfork, as you know, was a music website formed in the late 90s, became a symbol of new media, knocked a lot of old media off its newsstands, I guess you'd say. I worked for the Illinois Entertainer in Chicago, which we were a print magazine first and foremost. We had an online presence. It wasn't much. Pitchfork kind of changed the game as far as music criticism went, giving a wider berth and a wider avenue to new and emerging artists and indie artists. In Chicago, it was quite the presence, not only because it started its music festival there, but it just seemed to have, I think it was founded in Minneapolis. It had a lot of local ties, especially to the Biz 3 publicity firm, which was based in the near north side, the Wicker Park, Bucktown area, if I recall. And so Pitchfork was just, something we had to deal with and something we checked on a daily basis to see what they were reviewing. And it was an important change in music media. Now, in 2015, the founder Ryan Schreiber sold up to Conde Nast, the big worldwide publisher house that's kind of run right now by Anna Wintour, Dame Anna Wintour, who was the editor-in-chief of Vogue for a long time. And then in 2019, Mr. Schreiber stepped down from his role at the top. I think he maybe divested himself entirely and handed the editor-in-chief reins over to a woman named Pooja Patel, who ran it until this past week. So what happened very recently was, and you may already know this if you're watching, is that Conde Nast decided to fold Pitchfork into GQ, Gentleman's Quarterly, which still isn't entirely clear what's happening. There's going to be or have been a lot of layoffs at Pitchfork. A lot of people have lost their jobs, so that's sad, and we don't root for that ever. But it's not clear if Pitchfork will now be, just a subset on the GQ homepage, or if it's simply just the editor-in-chief of Pitchfork will be a direct report of someone higher up at GQ and that nature. And then, of course, all these people who have been in GQ's music department, not insignificant, they're probably also wondering what's happening with their jobs as well. The headlines have been that this is the end of Pitchfork, and it very well might be. What are the reasons for this? What does this mean for media and journalism in general? Lots of people have lots of theories, especially among the older class of Pitchfork readers, the ones who had walked away from it as Pitchfork became more mainstream oriented in the past 10 years. These are the people who were very upset when Pitchfork revised its top songs of the 90s list and knocked Pavement all the way down the list, knocked Neutral Milk Hotel off of it, and replaced them with Mariah Carey and Aaliyah and others. The temptation for a lot of people is to assume that because Pitchfork's abandoned its original readership and became a more mainstream Rolling Stone styled publication, is that led to its demise. That may be partly right. I'm sure that Conde Nast wanted it to gain more readership so it could support it better, and therefore that may have led to some influence from above to go straighter down the middle to be more exposed to a wider range, a wider pop audience. That makes sense, doesn't it? If Conde Nast buys something, it's not because they want to keep it niche. And they didn't buy it from Ms. Patel, they bought it from Mr. Schreiber. Now, in recent years, I kind of felt like, especially when they did the revised top 100 singles of the 90s or whatever it was, that Pitchfork was fulfilling something. I don't know if it was on purpose. I don't think they'd maybe by necessity read this book, but I'm a big fan of this book here, How the Beatles Destroyed Rock and Roll by Elijah Wald. It's not really about the Beatles. It's more a revised music history of the 20th century American pop music. and how certain things just kind of got left out by historians who were mainly male, maybe less inclined to dance and more inclined to dismiss artists whose core audience was women. Wald argues for why is Paul Whiteman written out of jazz history so much? Why is Pat Boone written out of the 50s and so on and so forth? Why is disco so easily dismissed, even though now we see it being so important, but back then it was seen as this monster. So anyway, what I thought Pitchfork might have been doing, I wasn't necessarily defending them for this, but it seemed to make sense that they were trying to connect all the dots from all the music that is out there instead of trying to drive down one lane and ignore everything else that was going on the other side of the road. Was it misguided? Possibly. But all of these things, I think, are a distraction from the overwhelming fact that people just don't read music reviews anymore. That's why this is happening. The fact is that people don't want to read it, they're not going to read it. I know this for a fact. I don't get a lot of reads for my reviews. I do it because I want to help bands out, and if I can help get them a gig somewhere by building a press kit, great. But this is where things are going. It's not going to rebound. This is the path we're on, and we just need to sort of figure out new ways around it. I mean, vinyl's come back. Vinyl outsold CDs last year for the first time, or not for the first time, but it started doing so very recently again. Maybe we do the unenvironmentally friendly thing and start zine culture again. Maybe we don't get advertisers. Maybe we staple together a couple of pieces of Xerox paper, trademark Xerox, and start mailing it to people with stamps and stuff like that, like it used to happen. Maybe you build communities that way. Maybe you don't digitize everything. Maybe you just love your scene, love your community. Everything's supposed to be local and farm to table anyway. Why are we? I don't know. I don't know what to do. R.I.P. Pitchfork. It was interesting.